So hello everybody, it is me, Demetra K of the Demetra K Show, and it is Saturday, and it is our podcast where we talk about Black love, knowledge, and understanding of all things that go on in the Black community to make us an even better people, with the emphasis on even, because there's always room for improvement. I am sitting here with Donovan, the recovering Democrat Saadiq, as he rides, co-hosts every show that we have to help bring you the information and everything else in between. Today, we're going to be talking about the unfortunate situation of a brother named Christian Obumseli. But we'll call him Christian or Toby. I think that's what they called him affectionately. He is of Nigerian descent. He was murdered by that of his girlfriend, Courtney Tailor. She was an IG model, OnlyFans model, and all of that. And we're going to get into that story. But before we do that, Donovan, what say you?
All right, you guys, welcome to the Demetra K podcast. We're glad to have you. If you guys are looking at the live cast, Demetra's going to put up our banner and stuff like that. You can hit our Cash App and all that other good stuff. We know you guys have a lot of things going on. Do us a favor. Please like, share, subscribe, and even become a member if you so choose to do so. The message is getting out there. A lot of people are starting to wake up to what is really going on out there in society. And this is a very, very interesting topic because, once again, the disparity in our legal system seems to show itself. A Black person hypothetically seems to be murdered, and the white guy or the white girl seems to just go on with their life and everything is fine. So let's get into that.
All right. So as Donovan said, this is a very unfortunate case, and we're going to talk about what happened, but we're also going to dig a little bit deeper into I want to come from a point of, is the Manosphere at fault? The Manosphere is that of, the Black men, and I guess other men too. I guess they count, who are holding women accountable. We're not letting these women get away with it. And we're going to talk about how maybe it's time to move on to Becky and all these.
Right, we're going to divest. We're going to divest.
All of that, right? So we're going to talk about what happened to Mr. Christian Obumseli. I think that's how you say it, Obumseli. He's of Nigerian descent, so forgive me for messing up his name the first time. But here we go. Let's start it off like this. So this is actually from it's an official statement, and I believe it's from the police department in Miami. This took place in Miami. It says, on Sunday, April 3rd, 2022 at roughly 5 p.m., officers responded to the address there in Miami regarding a domestic violence incident involving a stabbing. Upon arriving, officers located a 27-year-old male, subsequently identified as Mr. Christian Toby Obumseli, who was suffering from an apparent knife wound. A female was located on the scene.
Okay.
Huh?
Suffer from a knife wound, like it's like like you're catching a cold. He suffers from a knife wound.
Right. It says a female was located on scene and interviewed by detectives. Miami Fire Rescue transported Mr. Obumseli to Jackson Memorial Hospital Ryder Trauma Center, where he succumbed to his injuries. The preliminary investigation determined that both Mr. Obumseli and the female had been involved in the physical altercation. Take note of that, y'all. It says homicide detectives, in conjunction with the Miami-Dade State Attorney's Office and Medical Examiner Department, continue to investigate the incident. Okay, so as you heard there, she basically stabbed her boyfriend to death because he died of the wounds. And so they said that they were involved in an altercation before that. Now, it's also said that their neighbors said they would often fight, and the police have been out there on a few occasions due to them fighting. Now, other neighbors and friends that knew them both says, well, we often would see her hitting him. We never saw him. So we saw her hitting him, but we never saw him hitting her. I hope I said that right.
Sure. Mm-hmm.
All right. So moving right along, I'm going to show you guys something else. It's going to be a series of little screenshots and stuff here just to kind of drive the point home. Bear with me here. Okay. So this statement comes from that of, I guess, her attorney. Courtney's the girlfriend that stabbed him up. And if I didn't already say, she's white, but I'm going to show y'all a picture. Okay, so clearly it says, clearly none of this was intended, and Courtney is struggling mentally with the aftermath of what occurred that evening. This is a tragedy for all involved, but it was not criminal conduct. Courtney was defending herself, and the investigation will reveal exactly that. So again, her people are saying, well, you know, it was something she had to do. It was self-defense and all of that. So before I go on to any of the where I really want to go with this, I'm going to show y'all the couple. I was going to say lovely couple, but that might not sound. Well, I'll show you her. Okay, I'll show y'all her first. Okay, so that is Courtney.
Woo! Fine, Becky. Woo, Becky. Woo, woo. Yes. Go ahead, though.
I should have put my raccoon emoji up here, but I didn't.
Right.
Anyway, so this is Courtney Tailor, the 25-year-old girlfriend, Instagram model, and OnlyFans, I guess model. I don't know what they call them on there.
Stop saying this Instagram model stuff. These are just people.
Well, she has 2 million followers, and she has been in a couple of rap videos, that of G-Eazy, his videos. And so she's been around, you know, so she has amassed quite a following. Never heard of her before myself, but she has. So this is his girlfriend that, you know, stabbed him up, for lack of better words. And
allegedly.
She did. Because she did stab him. So she stabbed him up and all of that. All right. So this is her. I wanted to show y'all a picture of her. Okay. Now let me show y'all a picture of them. Okay. So this is the couple, and that is Christian. I think they maybe call him Toby. I'm not for sure. But anyway, that's them together.
Oh, nice legs.
Yeah, you know, they seem like they're happy there. But as again, a lot of people who knew them said that they would often fight. Okay, so now let's get into a little bit more of why we are here, shall we? Okay, so Christian has been accused of, and I wanted to say this before we get into RIP to him. Nobody should ever deserve to lose their life, right? Okay. So Christian has been accused of saying some pretty nasty things about that of Black women. So let's start this off here. Let me just pick one, because it's quite a bit of things that he said. Let's see, where'd it go? Oh, did I close? Oh, you know what? I never even uploaded, but I'll show this one, okay?
Okay.
I'll show this one just to start with. So this one says, Black girls aren't the only ones who can cook in the world.
That's right. Seasonless soup made by my Becky is delicious.
Is that right?
Seasonless soup. Yes.
All right, so let me see if I can pull up my other. Oh, I didn't screenshot it.
And tacos is not cooking. I'm sorry, you know.
Take it over for a little bit, Donovan.
Yes,
while I
TV
find
dinners is not cooking. But the reason why I say alleged is because the fact of the matter is, you know, we don't know what her defense attorney's strategy is going to be. You know, because like I said, you know, it doesn't make sense how this woman stabbed this man and she's running around and, you know, and it's amazing how they say intended. I didn't intend to kill him, but, you know, we got to be sympathetic to her because she didn't intend to kill him. So, you know, go easy on her. She has mental issues, whatever. Now, if we use that type of defense, we would still be locked up. So it's just crazy how you could be a certain persuasion and you get all this leniency and, you know, things in your way to let you just walk out of the jail, you know, or, you know, just be free. It's crazy.
Absolutely crazy, brother. So some of the things that Mr. Christian was accused of saying goes like this. So I don't know what the OMF means, but I guess that's maybe him, maybe his tagline somewhere, his handle. It says, Black girls are born knowing how to shake their they ass. Me, honestly, I don't care. They not my type. Okay.
He's from Africa, right?
He's Nigerian. Yes, I think he's
right.
Maybe
so,
he's born here, but his parents are.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. So that's part of the culture there. I mean, a lot of cultures that have a culture, unlike generic white people who appropriate cultures, all have some kind of dance culture in their culture. So what's he talking about?
Right. So then another one, he says, once again, I'm tired of these Black girls in my government class. So apparently he was in college at one point in time. And these are old tweets, by the way. And he didn't like the Black girls in his government class. And then he also tweeted the way Black girls disgrace themselves on TV. Okay. Now, they also said there were some tweets where in conversation where he was glorifying that of white women. Unfortunately, I did not get to find that. So I'm going to say allegedly because I have not seen them myself. But as y'all can see, this is kind of the mind of Mr. Christian, who is now deceased at the hands of his white girlfriend, who they, once they arrested her and they had, her, she was bloodied and everything when they got on the scene. I don't want to put the pictures up because you guys can find it if you want. When they got to the scene, and they arrested her, she said she was going to kill herself. And so they put her on what they called a Baker's Act, which is sort of like they have in California, which is 5150. Where they can hold you for 72 hours psychiatric hold, whether it's the judge, the police, or anybody that determines maybe you're having a mental meltdown or something. So they hold you for 72 hours just to make sure. But as of now, Courtney has not been arrested because, they're kind of trying to investigate whether it was self-defense, like she's saying it was. But again, there's other neighbors and friends that saying we often saw her hit him. We never saw it the other way around. Again, police were often called to their residence. Now it says that wherever he was from, I can't remember where it was, so forgive me.
Yeah, I heard he's originally from Houston. They migrated from Houston.
Yeah. So he moved to be with her there in Miami in a nice high-rise.
I don't need to cut you off, which is kind of possibly really a strong possibility he is from Houston because there is a big Nigerian community there in Houston.
Yeah, so I'm not quite sure where he's from, but he moved there to be in Miami with her in her high-rise apartment and all of that. And of course, you guys know the rest is history. His family is devastated due to, their loved one being murdered or, self-defense. He's not here nevertheless, right? By the hands of his girlfriend. And she's, so far has not been arrested. And so they're more or less like, it's kind of hard for us to hear people say, oh, she didn't mean it was self-defense and she's going through all this stuff, but yet our loved one is not here. But there's a lot of people, especially Black women, are like, let Becky and all of them cry for him in that community since he was so doggish to Black women, talking a bunch of crap and, big up in Becky and all of that. Let them cry for him and carry his water behind him getting in that situation. And so, Donovan, before I get into what I really want to get into, what say you about the whole situation?
Well, here's my thing. As somebody who's about to get into some law shit myself, I've been watching a lot of Matlock. I've been watching a lot of Perry Mason, Judge the People's Court. I've been getting into it, right? Now, notice, you guys remember a young lady named Jodi Arias. Now, remember, her initial story was a bunch of people came in and, they were going to kill me and they shot Travis and all this other stuff. So, this lady's on psychiatric watch. So we don't know what this story is going to be because there are incidences where people have jumped on a knife 17 times. There's been defenses like that. I didn't stab him. He jumped on the knife 17 times. So where I'm going with this is, and I'm being facetious, where I'm going with this is this. It's amazing that these brothers that do what they do, and it's crazy to me when these foreign brothers come here and they're so anti-white, and it makes me sometimes wonder, is it the colonialism that has gone down through the generations that make them think that white is right or better, or you know what I mean? If you love somebody, just love them. It doesn't matter what their color is or whatever. But to talk down on your own is kind of, I'm not saying anybody deserves something like that, but I am going to say this. Karma is a real thing. It's a real thing. And in a lot of these countries that we come from or that we're descendants from, people don't believe in voodoo and, black magic and all this other stuff. I believe there's a little truth to a lot of that stuff. So, maybe, when you do stuff like that and you run down on what's your nature, it comes back to haunt you. And in this case, it seems like it came back to haunt this guy in a terrible way, because there are so many examples of how these people murder Black people and other groups and just get away with it. It's so sad.
Absolutely. And so I will just say this. I don't know who Mr. Christian followed or subscribed to, but we know that there's this thing called the Manosphere. There's this thing called the Manosphere, as I said, that, you know, has this league of men, and I would say Manosphere leaders. I don't know if what they call them, but you have your Kevin Samuels, you have your MTRs, you have your Zooms to Thailand, and you have your the lead attorney. Which, shut up, D, don't say nothing, be quiet, just keep on with the talking first. And yeah, Donovan, you have your Tommy Sotomayor's and all those cats in there, right? Who they talk very badly for the, I don't say the most part, but a lot. They talk badly about Black women, right? Now, listen, I'm one of those people, I like to be honest in my critique. There is a lot, some of the stuff they say true, yes. Let's just get that out the way, because ladies, I think what we need to do is stop saying, well, none of it is true. It's all made. Now, some of it is true, right? Now, I have overall a problem, and I know Kevin Samuels talked about this, my delivery, but it's what I'm saying, right? But a lot of times you got to also consider your audience. Depending on how you deliver something, your audience might take that the wrong way. And I hate to say it, a lot of people in those Manosphere audience, you know, members rather, they don't have a lot of critical thinking skill, right? Like they don't have enough sense, not all, some have enough sense to say, okay, well, that's weird, right? Let me dissect that and see how true that is, if it matters in the larger scheme of things. They just take it and run with it. Okay, so a lot of those guys that I just mentioned in the Manosphere, they do talk disparagingly about Black women, and they have said, well, maybe you need to go find a woman somewhere else in other countries because other women don't do this and other women don't do that. Only Black women do this and only Black women do that. And so then you have this Christian guy who's RIP pushing up daisies, or he's, you know, looking up, I don't know. He has been murdered by, as which people will say, a Becky, a white woman, right? That sounds like that he was just so glorifying and this, that, and the other. We hear brothers all over the place glorifying white women, Hispanic women, Asian women. But yet, here's this guy who did exactly what people preached about, go get you a white woman or whatever, and he's killed. And so what I want to know is, will the Manosphere show up as pallbearers? Will they bear some sort of responsibility? Because listen, when the sisters are murdered by Brad, we take them to task. And don't try to say that I don't, because you can go check my receipts, boo-boo. I always talk about how the sisters get with the Brads, and those sisters too are what you call the divestors, talking about, oh, I'm going to get me a white man, and white man's better. And they end up pushing up daisies, looking up as well. So we need to have an even conversation about these Black men who run off with the Beckys, and then they end up getting taken up out of here, you know. And like I said, when the Black women do it, the Cynthia G's, and who I don't follow any of those people, they get the blame for it. But what about on the Manosphere side of this conversation about letting go of the Black woman and going to get you the other woman?
You know, you bring up a good point. Again, you know, the sad thing is, like you said, you also got to remember some of the people that listen. It's like you said, critical thinking skills is very important. Like I started listening to Tommy Sotomayor like years ago when he early started, right? But I knew that this was entertainment. Was some of the stuff he was saying true? Yes. But I also knew, for me, it was more entertainment. I mean, a lot of that's not based in reality. You can't take a group of people and say, all of them are like this, because that's not true. For Tommy Sotomayor and people like him to say all Black women ain't this, all Black women ain't that, they would have to date all of these Black women in the world and then come to that conclusion. Unfortunately, in reality, there's no way you could do that, because, you know, more women are coming of age and things. So, you know, you would be a dead man by the time you would get through 5 of them. You'd be dead. So it's so sad that people initially look at this stuff for entertainment, but at the same time, you've got to discern entertainment from reality. Now, this is one of those occasions where reality and the entertainment has crossed the line, and now a person is dead. Now, is he dead because he listened to Tommy Sotomayor and all these other people? Could be. We don't know. You know, he could have been one of those people. But somebody who is a native, has a background of Native African, being a descendant of, you know, Nigerian parents and stuff, I'm very sure he was taught historical principles that goes back thousands of years in his tribe and in his family and in his tribe, right? So here in America, and remember when we were in Africa, what did we learn? What is the main thing that we learned when we were in Africa? The main thing that we learned was that people are the same everywhere. What they're doing there is no different than how Black people are being treated here and how we think here. The only difference is they have Black people controlling the government and the police departments and businesses, whereas here we still have the white guy that we could kind of blame and, for all our problems and stuff. So, it's so, because even in South Africa, 70% of the white people control all the wealth. Now, are white people and Black people in South Africa and those countries intermixing? Yes, I'm very sure the colonial white master is still sleeping with the Black woman. And there might be some numbers of the Black men sleeping with the white women. Of course, we didn't see that when we were there. We saw the white man with the Black man. But that's another story. But it's so sad that between both of our groups, men and women, that we are still pointing the finger at each other and thinking that the grass is greener on the other side, when that is not ever the case in any situation you put yourself in. I'm not saying, hey, if I get with the white person, it's going to be better for me. Do you guys see what's happening to Clarence Thomas right now? Do you guys see what's happening to that man? He married a white woman that was a member of a cult when she was younger. And she's still a member of a cult now in the Trump stratosphere. And now it's affecting his job and all these other things. So this is a tragedy. And I hope we get better people to critically think and discern entertainment from actual reality.
But see, the problem is they're not. And I think this is by design. Mm-hmm. If you look at the audiences of all those people that I mentioned, I mean, they have a huge following of people who hang on to every word. I mean, whenever I go on Facebook, which I'm not on there much anymore, I always see men, and especially Black men. I'm not too many friends with a lot of white people. So most of my, I'm just not. I'm some, but not much. But most of my friend list, if you will, and most of my social media is Black. Mm-hmm. And I always see, I don't say always, but I often see Black men trying to, tear Black women down or try to tell Black women what they should and should not be doing. And Black women is Black women that. And fellas, do you ever realize that Black women? And it's like, you know what? I get it. Deep down inside, a lot of y'all brothers just don't, because I have to make sure I quantify this right. Some Black men just do not like Black women.
Correct.
And it's just a fact, right?
Correct.
Instead of just saying, I don't like you Black heifers,
mm-hmm. Hyenas.
Wherever. Heifers, hyenas, it gets passed off as, well, I'm trying to teach y'all something. I know something y'all don't about Black womanhood. It's like, how the hell you know about Black womanhood and you a Black man, right? But they're getting these teachings from the Manosphere, if you will. And listen, I know somebody gonna come on here and say, you blaming the Manosphere. I'm not blaming the Manosphere. I am blaming the person, because ultimately it is up to that person to dissect the information they're getting, right? And to fully understand it and see if it applies, but they don't. They run away with these sound bites. Then they get on their personal social media pages and they, apply it to all women, and then they get into all these fights with women on the page because they say the most incendiary things. And listen, I'm not saying men or women don't do it too. I'm not saying that, but today we're talking about the life of a brother who talked down on Black women, and big up Becky. His life is gone now, right? So I don't know if he listened to any of those people. I don't have any information said that he does, but his conversation sure sounds like that of a lot of the people that, you got your Fresh and Fits and all those cats out there talking bad about Black women, right? And so while they should have the sense to dissect it and say, okay, is this all Black women? No, they don't. They go off and go on as if it's all Black women causing all these schisms and fights. And, if you go on the internet and say Black women ain't shit, you're going to get 552 Black women arguing back and forth with you. And I think some of that is done by design.
Sure. But, again, I have yet to really look back and see 30, 40 years ago when we started first hearing about Black men ain't shit, where there was a campaign designed to say Black women ain't shit. Okay. My mom's a widowed mother. For a lot of young Black men, we love our moms, and we have reverence for our mom, because, like I always tell you on the show, mama, Mama, you're the queen of my, right? That's how men feel about their mamas, right? So, I'm not like pointing fingers, but this thing, that campaign of us being divisive within our community actually started, well, it didn't start. I can't even say that that's when it started, but it became very popular downgrading Black men. So is it wrong for men now to say, you know what, enough of this? Because now we're pointing out a lot of these platforms are pointing out, and again, you need critical thinkers to understand what they're saying, how these women are abusing the child support system, how they're doing these things to put Black men in these positions. Again, for the fellows that are listening though, are they putting you in those positions, or are you putting?
Because I sure was about to write that down, brother.
Okay, well, look, I try to be fair across the board, and you know me, when it comes to fellas, I'm a critical thinker myself. Are they putting you in the system, or are you putting yourself in the system by not standing up and being a fourth righteous man? If that's your child, you should be taking care of that child. I don't give a damn you went to jail because you were selling weed on the street. That's no excuse. The child still needs to eat. So I do believe it's by design, and how they're making this divisiveness within our community. A good example, the New York Post put out an article, should Black women marry Black men to be happy and all this other stuff? And do you know how many Black women, educated Black women, boule Black women, sororo Black women are big upping that article?
And do you know who wrote that article?
A Black man, a Black
professor. Hello.
Right, which is surprising. Who he married to? A Black woman.
Well, thank you.
Yes, and I said it's very surprising, but what I'm saying is, who sent him? Who paid him? And don't get me wrong, I followed this guy. This guy's been, he wrote this thing like 10 years ago. He's been on this shit for like 10 years into that, trying to tell Black women, maybe you need to, go with Zaddy to better your situation. The book
called is Marriage Only for White People.
Right, exactly. And, you can't hold the Black man to the same standards you would hold the white man. Because again, here we are, Demetra and I, and we do this all the time. We want our money. We're asking for our money. We're asking for nothing less. You give me my reparations, then I could be on equal par with that white man. And okay, let's just think about this, ladies. If Black people, fundamental Black people, got their reparations check, would you guys be saying, because this white man has stolen money that came down generations and I get my reparations check, would that be a better option for you? If it's about the money? If it's about the money, think about that.
So you said a lot, brother. And it just, if it's about the money, I mean, see, and that's the other trope I think too that we need to dispel, is that, because I talk about this all the time, Black women, I would say, are probably the only group of women that are taught that if you expect your man to have a little bit of money or to be able to take care of you, just take care of himself, goddammit. That's all. Like, we've lowered the bar, right, from our mom and dad's generation of just, if you could just take care of yourself, right? And I'll be good with that. But why is it that Black women are taught that, and you guys as Black men are taught that if a Black woman is expecting you to have a little bit of cheese, a little bit of bread, she a gold digger. So, to say that it's about, is it about if we all had a reparation check and this, that, and the other, then would our problems go away? I think maybe that's kind of what you're saying. No, because we have other issues, right? Course, so I think money is just a part of it. I don't think it's the main thing.
No, it's not the main point.
Because there's people with money all the time. I mean, hell, you want to look at Will and Jada, they got plenty of money and they got plenty of problems too.
And more money, the more problems. Exactly.
Yeah, so, but the other part too is about, Black women saying Black men ain't shit. Like, we've had this campaign. Well, first
of all, for over 40 years, we've had this campaign.
It's been longer than that, but I think we need to go to the root and the origins of all of that, of why that is. When we came over from those slave ships, we didn't have that ideology of Black men ain't shit, and y'all didn't have the ideology of Black women ain't shit. Obviously, that was taught to us from slavery. It was taught to keep the Black woman. A lot of people like to cite the Willie Lynch letter, which has been debunked, that is not even real. Like, it wasn't written in, it's real, but it wasn't written in 1700s like they're saying it was. It was actually written by a Black professor in the 90s to put it forth and act like he got that from the 1700s to try to teach Black people about what white supremacy has done to us. But whatever, I like the book nevertheless. I've read it a few times, giving it away as gifts. But we need to also understand that we as Black people, and especially Black women, have been taught to usurp the man, because when you beat the man down, that was done in slavery. You beat the man down, then he will never rise and take his rightful place in society. And so we got that under control after slavery, obviously during Jim Crow, Black Wall Street, and all of that. But then, yes, civil rights movement came in, and shortly after that, you have the women's movement, feminist movement came in, where we as Black women got on board thinking, oh, well, I'm going to get rid of my man like this white woman. But the white woman didn't get rid of her man. She got rid of his ass from 9 to 5 and took her ass home and had that casserole on the table. And we as Black women fell for that. Now, the other thing that you got to throw in there, that is that when you had, you know, all the destabilization, because we talk about the destabilization of governments everywhere else around the world, but we rarely talk about the destabilization of our people that was done on purpose by a lot of these administrations, from the White House and J. Edgar Hoover, and all of them had a lot to do with that. And so we got to add that stuff in when we just go on, before we go on and say, well, Black women woke up one day and said, my man ain't shit. Now, when I say about the destabilization of Black people, I meant that it took the Black man out the home a lot by imprisoning him and a whole host of things, creating drug addicts. And so there's a lot of things that went into my man ain't shit. So then you also have this other misnomer that, oh, well, the Black woman got rid of a Black man for a welfare check. And I always ask, what Black woman or any woman in her right mind gonna get rid of a man that's making more than that funky little $400 that the government is giving her? What sense does that make? So we gotta, when we say those kind of things, I think we need to throw all of the historical context in it instead of just saying, oh, well, Black women decided that my man ain't shit. Because I'm 51, I'll be 51 on Wednesday, and I never heard my mom say that my dad wasn't shit, right? And personally, I've heard it before, but not really from women that I grew up under, like my grandmas or my mom, and even like some of my aunties. I never heard that, even though they had their issues, I always saw that my mom and dad, even though they didn't stay together, they worked together, right? So I think we need to put a little bit more fillers into the mama. Black women say Black man ain't shit.
You know, the funny thing about that is this, and I think about this all the time, because usually when they talk about the deadbeat parent, be it the male or the female, mostly Black men, it's mostly attributed to our generation, which we are the kids of civil rights movement, right? Now, here's the funny thing, though. Our parents' generation, remember how you had Uncle Ray that had that outside child? He might have 2 or 3 of them out there that he never took care of, he never acknowledged. Isn't it funny how that generation changed the laws to make me more responsible than they were, while they get away scot-free with their responsibilities? I'm not knocking it. I'm just saying it's like this stuff has been going on for years.
But you know who was the biggest champion of the child support system and who was instrumental in making that law?
Joe Biden.
It was Gloria Allred.
Gloria
Allred,
a
white woman,
right?
A white woman who is a lawyer. I haven't seen her from her in a while. Hopefully, she's all right, I guess. But she is a big time ambulance chaser.
Yeah.
But she was really the one that championed it and made sure that they were able to deduct payments, child support payments from the checks of whoever the non-custodial parent was. And let's just call it what it was, mostly men, because women were like, we're not together. And he is not, paying his part as far as taking care of the child. So we need to find a way to make him accountable. And that was, garnishing the wages of your paycheck. And so when I say that, to say about Gloria Allred being a white woman was probably more than likely championing for white women, that child support system issue always gets, well, I don't say always, I won't deal in absolutes, but mostly gets dealt to Black women. Oh, Black women, they put the white man on it. All the Black women got the man child in the child support system. But it's like, first of all, we need to understand why that child support system is needed. I'm not saying in all cases, because it is abused. Let's just keep it real. But that didn't originate with Black women.
Right,
but we were charged with abusing it. For some reason.
And actually, you hit the nail on the head. Like I said, you need critical thinkers. The liberation movement was about white women being independent of the white man. And if they stayed with the white man, they wanted equality in bringing more money into the home. They wanted equal pay. So if I'm making a 6-figure salary and I'm a woman, I'm getting $80,000. No, I want the 6-figure salary too, to bring more money into the house. It was about liberating themselves from the white man. then the black women bought into it. But as far as the child support system goes, that system, again, the original deadbeat dad was the white man, wasn't taking his responsibilities. So he has a mistress on the side. That whole thing was really set up to make sure, or when they revamped the laws, that she got paid, on the side. And, they're trying to legitimize the side chick, or whatever you want to call it, the mistress or whatever, so that she can get all this money and all this other stuff, which is, it's kind of sad, because you can't get money from people who don't have it.
I get all of that. I don't know about the whole side piece issue, because I don't know if it meant to legitimize the side piece. I think it really was more or less to make sure that the man is not able to say, "Oh, I ain't got it this week. I know it's been 2 or 3 months, but I ain't got it." So it was a way of the court saying, well, "Okay, we gonna get it since you ain't got it," right?
Right.
Not to legitimize the side piece. I don't have any intel on that, but let's just take you at your word that they're legitimizing the side piece. Well, why do you have a side piece that you are getting pregnant and not taking care of that child to the tune of her having to go dig off in your bank account? See, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Y'all know on this show, we're going to talk about accountability from everybody. It's not going to be one side. I'm not blaming the man. Side pieces, to me, I think side pieces are horrible people, right? And the dudes that make them the side pieces are horrible too. Now, if you're dumb enough, let's take Tristan Thompson, for example. We know, he's Khloe Kardashian's baby daddy and some other, person's baby daddy. Now he's a baby daddy of somebody else. But he's got all of this money, probably to the tune of millions, in child support coming out of his paycheck because he couldn't keep his ding-a-ling in his pants, right?
And he's a slave now. He is a slave.
But he's got side pieces, and so is she wrong for going to get child support? No, I don't think so.
No, absolutely not.
Is she and he stupid? Yeah, they're stupid because you knew you were screwing a man who had somebody, had other babies and all this other stuff. And so, you make it public, trying to go and get him for the bag or whatever. He's stupid for not securing the bag by not sleeping with her or protecting himself. So that side piece thing, I get it, but there wouldn't be no side piece with a baby if the man just used common sense.
Well, exactly. But, but here's my thing. And fellas, I want you guys to listen to this very carefully. Very carefully. Nobody put a gun to your head and told you to lay down with that woman and without having a condom and protecting yourself. Sometimes, it's just cheaper to keep what you got. But in this country, and it's just amazing how this system was set up, because when I look at Uncle Ray, who has 3 kids that he doesn't acknowledge, he never took care of, I don't see the system going after him. But yet our generation and generations after us, the law has established that at any time, a child that you had could go back and get that money and say, "I never received child support for this child," within that time frame that the new law was enacted. They can go after you. This country is supposed to be you're not supposed to go to jail because you have debt, but yet we have people who are still civil rights legislators that are still in power, sees that these laws are just messed up and aren't doing anything about it, as they see cousin Cooter. He goes to jail for child support. This guy goes to jail, and he loses his job. I mean, it's just catastrophic, what happens to us,
Yeah, and I don't know if I necessarily agree with anybody going to jail due to not paying child support, but let's just keep it real. There's a lot of dudes out there who are egregious when it comes to not paying what they have created, right? They're not paying for what they created, don't want to pay for what they created. And in a lot of cases, they not only create one life that they're going to, shirk the responsibility to somebody else, they're going to create more and more and more and more and more lives, and then be mad that, now the system is caught up with them and wants to lock them up. Well, it's like, well, hell, you might as well be locked up. You ain't taking care of nobody on the outside. Don't get in jail and then cry about, "Oh, no, I can't work." You working wasn't benefiting the lives that you created anyway. So like I said, I don't agree with people losing their freedom. But I think that people, before they get to that point, should say, you know what? Because we had a child support expert on here once before, and he says a lot of times if you say, "I got $50, here's something," instead of you running and ducking and hiding, "Here, I don't have it all, but here goes something," the system will work with you. But you got a lot of cases out there where dudes are just like, "You can't get blood from a turnip," and then go make some more turnips.
Right. And and the funny thing is that you say that when it comes to this system, you got money. These guys got money for weed. They got money for alcohol. They got money to go to the club. They got money for their cars. They got money for all this stuff, but not to handle their children. But I agree with you. Nobody should go to jail. I'm definitely against that. However, like you said, I agree that these men out here being irresponsible, doing what they're going to do. But when is the system going to address these women who keep making babies with different men and holding that accountable and saying that's a problem too? See what I'm saying? It's a slanted
the system should address that. I mean, I don't think anybody should be able to, and trust me, I know of women who have multiple kids, multiple baby daddies, and yeah, they living better than you and I. You and I got to get up every day and make a go at it if we want to keep the lights on. But there's women out there, and we're gonna keep it real because we like to keep it honest on both sides. There's women out there who wake up, they got cable, they got lights, they got gas, they got a roof over their head.
LCD TV.
They got food and busting out of every counters and refrigerator, living good, right? And so yeah, I don't think that, because after a while that does become a reward system when you have all these kids and you get, now I don't know if you get a lot of money, but you sure get housing, you get Medi-Cal, you get food, so you get a lot of things that help you sustain life. And so I don't agree with that as a reward system. As we know, as the welfare system, it's temporary,
supposed to be temporary, right?
Family. So it's temporary assistance for needy family. And the key word is temporary. It should not be you got, 18-year-old and a 2-year-old and they both own the system, right? So I'm one of those people, and this is kind of where I agree, with the conservatives or Republican. That kind of stuff should be, it should be a deadline. Okay, we'll give you 2 years or whatever, or 3, however. You can get an education when you're on the system. You go to school for free. You can do it. So there's a lot of things you can do to better yourselves. But the way the system is now, it's not allowing, or it's serving as an incentive for people to go create, better themselves. It's actually making it worse, because in a lot of cases, not all, a lot of cases, those said women from all races, not just black races, the black race, all races are comfortable, and they are lying on their backs, and they're creating these babies with Ray, Pookie, Jethro, and everybody else, and nobody, and I could kind of see why a lot of these dudes, or what they would call dusties and lowlifes, are like, well, I can make a baby because I don't have to take care of it. The system gonna take care of it. So I think there should be a shelf life to the system and what people are allowed to get.
Yeah, another good example that recently came out was the Black China situation. This woman talking about she's a single mom and using that trope, and you don't even have your damn kids, So, coming back to the original thing, it's just like this man that just got murdered by his girlfriend. Is the grass always greener on the other side? Just because they're giving you something, are they giving it to you because they want? My mother always told me this: if they're giving it away, what's wrong with it?
Well, the other thing too is, and I think black men and women need to understand this. See, when Boonquisha kills Ray, her ass is probably gonna go to jail.
Yeah, right.
Vice versa. But when Becky killed Ray, or when Brad kills Boonquisha, it was self-defense. Oh, well, what she did what she could, and this big black burly Negro was trying to do something to her. So she's not. Listen, I could be wrong, but y'all have called me Nostradamus before. I don't think that white woman. Yeah, well, Nostradamus. I don't think she's going to jail. I don't think she's gonna. I think they're gonna find a way. Miami too. Miami, a prominent white woman. I'm sure she knows some people. They're gonna say it was self-defense. They've been in arguments before. She was afraid for her life, and she's gonna get off.
Right. Or what's the other thing? She's a nice gal. Like that one sister got murdered up in Wisconsin, New York, wherever it was. Oh, he's a nice guy. We don't know, blood everywhere, but hey, he's a nice guy.
Yeah, so the other thing too is black people, we need to figure out how to get along with each other. Get along. Are we perfect? No, we're not perfect. And I think that's the other thing. We as black people, and maybe everybody else, but I can only speak to black people. We are sold that black woman has to be perfect. That black man has to be perfect. And if he's not, he's damaged goods. And girl, you need to go on and get you a Brad, or man, go on and leave that black woman alone and zoom to Thailand and all. So we're not perfect, right? We're all a work in progress. We are all evolving as humans, but we got to get it out of our minds that a better woman or man for me is the other man or the other woman. As we can see, that is not true. At least, hell, if you get killed by your own, they're going to be held accountable. But this woman going to go. Matter of fact, they said she had an OnlyFans video up the next day. Now, they say she was also still a 72 hold. So maybe somebody was working for her.
She make her money.
Well, I don't know, but they're saying another video came up, and she was her stuff was kind of business as usual type of thing. But just realize you don't have the protection that you think you do when you are hanging out with those people, especially romantic.
And you also got to remember, those people are ingrained with an entitlement in this country. That's their whole slogan. I'm white and I'm a minority and I'm this and I'm that. Right now, again, when it comes to the playbook that they're using against him, he's a black man, he's from Africa, he's 6 whatever 2. Look, he's scary looking. Look at his haircut. Look at how he's dressed. He's probably a thug, whatever, right? Demetra, I'm going through litigation right now. You read some of the pleadings in my thing. What was one of the main pleadings that was said against me?
You're belligerent.
Black man. Oh my God, he's doing this and he's being disruptive and all this other stuff. Now, I'm not a big black man. I'm 163 pounds at 5'10". Very lean. I'm a very lean black man. But it doesn't matter. That is the line you use against black men when you want to get some assistance and quickly. And in my town, it usually takes about 2.5 hours, if they show up at all, to come to get you some assistance. Unless you're being murdered right then and there, you're looking at 45 minutes. I was at an event. They were there in 40 minutes. They arrived within 40 minutes because a black woman who's married to a black man and a white woman who is married to a black man used the police system to come and get me. And, I was reflecting on that, Demetra, and I said, you know what? I could have been killed. I literally could have been killed by these women using total lies against me in regards to when the police showed up. Because when the police showed up, he came out in riot gear and had the riot gun. And then he told me, well, we were told that 35 people are fighting. Who would say something like that? Where? So, again, all you younger black men out there, young men, I'm not saying to not do what you want to do. Love who you want to love, but the grass is not always greener on the other side. And always remember, they have a certain status that they literally believe is their unalienable right. You could be white trailer park. The fact is, you're white, and that's all that matters.
Yeah, I mean, and they also know that they have that badge of whiteness to get them out of anything. I mean,
anything.
How's that you can murder somebody and then say, I was, in fear for my life, but you wasn't in fear for your life when he was blowing your back out. You wasn't in fear for your life and not during any of that kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. But all of a sudden, when you take the lives, I was in fear for my life. But, at some point in time, I think we're going to learn, and it's unfortunately that we, especially seeing this younger generation, continue to fall prey to that. And so what I wonder is, who is directly influencing them? Now, I always say, if anybody outside of your parents are more influential, then the problem is on the parents, not everybody else. And so at the end of the day, you can ask the question, was he watching Kevin Samuels or anybody else in the Manosphere, the Fresh and Fit people, whoever they are?
Donovan Saadiq.
Right. He might have been, but at the end of the day, his, natural circle of influence, which I'd imagine would be his parents, they probably bear some blame in that your son is running around here talking greasy about black women, and he's Nigerian. I even went on Twitter, and the Nigerian women was like, well, we don't want him either. Since he talking bad about black women, we don't claim him either. Let the white women cry for him. But, this younger generation is falling prey to the ideology of, the black woman ain't for me. It's another woman is for me. And it's like, you big dummy, as you can see, that never works out in your favor. I can't think
your mama black.
Well, I mean, I don't know what he's been learning from his mom, but as you can see, I mean, I can't think of anybody in the recent times, anybody white that has been held accountable for taking the life of their black, whether it's co-worker, boyfriend, girlfriend, or whoever, right? Even the black lady who was hanging out with the football moms or soccer moms or something, she spent the night with them. It was the only black woman there. And they said that she was drunk and fell off the balcony, but when the coroner did an autopsy, it was like, nah, it looked like somebody beat the hell out of her. But because it was a bunch of white people, they got away with it and said, oh, they ruled it an accident. But they was like, nah, this something happened to this lady.
Yeah, it didn't
And it comes
add
out.
up.
It comes out that a lot of the women were married to law enforcement and that kind of stuff. And so, of course, this black lady's death was going to be ruled an accident instead of a homicide.
Right. And it could be what you're hearing about these gang rituals and stuff, because we know the police departments around the nation are sovereign citizens, and they're a gang within themselves because they're above the law. Sovereign citizen is somebody that believes the laws in the United States don't apply to them. So that perfectly describes the police department. You did a story about a young man, another African of African descent, that went hunting with a bunch of white people, and they recently ruled nothing to see here.
Yeah, he's from Jamaica, actually.
Oh, Jamaica. I'm sorry. Yeah.
And his name, Peter something. His name escapes my. I know his name was Peter.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, yeah, he was Jamaican descent, and he goes off hunting with some white co-workers, and his girlfriend was like, you sure you want to do that? And he's like, yeah, be fine. Because
Brad's my buddy. We go way back, me and Brad. Yeah.
Yeah, well, he hadn't been over here that long. I think 2 years is what he was, fresh from Jamaica. So his girlfriend was like, I was asking him, are you sure you want to do this? It's just you. And he was like, no, I'm good. We cool. I work with them, blah, blah, blah. And of course, it came out that it was 4 of them. And I think him, and he was shot 9 times in his back, as I guess he, in his back. And so they said, oh, it was self-defense. He got the acting crazy, and we, had to shoot him in self-defense, and they got off. And
nothing to see here.
Anybody who's ever seen, the movie Hunting, Surviving the Game with Ice-T.
Surviving the Game with Ice-T, yep.
Or any of those other movies like that, or any scenario, you could tell that man was hunted. Even the coroner, who was a world-renowned coroner, that family came.
Cyril Wright.
Yeah, Cyril Wright. He looked into the case, and he said, yeah, from what I can see, because he wasn't able to look at the body, he was only able to look at the photos. He says this looked like it was a straight up hunting. They hunted this man, but yet the local authorities there ruled it to be self-defense. Homicide and self-defense.
Self-defense, and you got shot in the victim got shot in the back. How is that self-defense?
They're white.
Away from you.
They're white, just like with that of George Zimmerman, who happens to be white and Hispanic, but hell, his daddy was a white judge. Mm-hmm. He got off on self-defense, standing the ground, even though Trayvon Martin wasn't even nowhere in the vicinity of him, but he got away with it. So I think the common denominator that we need to take away from this is that when you are white, you're going to get away with it, especially if it's something to do with, most of the time you get away with it. Lately, we're seeing like the Ahmaud Arbery case, things like that, George Floyd, white people being held accountable, but that's not the norm. Those are anomalies, right?
And if you think about I'm glad you brought that up too, because even those people aren't being held to the maximum. They're trying to get out, with the minimum sentence that they can get out possible. Yeah.
Well, the killers of Ahmaud Arbery, they're never going to get out.
Yeah, they're never going to get out.
Tried by the state and by the feds. Amber Geiger, she tried to get out.
This is her third time, right? Requesting.
Either third or second, but she killed Botham John in Dallas, and she tried to appeal to get out, and it's like, no, you're gonna give us these 10 years, and so 10 years a slap on the wrist for her murdering a man in cold blood. But anyway, we have to start re-educating our youth, because these are the ones that are falling prey to that. They listen, stop running around talking greasy about your black man and your black woman, because at the end of the day, it's gonna be those black people who are gonna come to help you or to try to fight for you if it comes down to that. But if you are doing that, then people are going to throw their hands up and like, well, let the white community fight for you, since that's who you went so hard in the paint for. But I just think we got to, for one, educate ourselves, our people about who they are, and a perfect book here, as you guys know, I read it to talk about it all the time, is that of Message to the Black Man. Mm-hmm. In America by the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. He talks about that, and he tells us that in this book. As y'all can see, I've read quite a bit. He's talked to us about that, like beware of your surroundings, right? He tells us don't be hanging around a bunch of white people. No shade to white people, but we know that it never really ends up good for us, right? They're going to do stuff to us and get away with it. So use wisdom. Stop telling your kids, oh, well, you know, that don't be around your people. Go, you know, I'm gonna send my kid to the white school.
This is ghetto. That's ghetto. That, you know.
It might be ghetto, but your ass is gonna still be here. And if you ain't, if something happened to you by the hands of the ghetto, you more than likely they're gonna pay for it, right? This white woman's gonna get away with it, go live her life, and probably go get her another Negro, you know, and God forbid the same thing happened to her. But yeah, this black man's life ultimately meant nothing to her in a community that is going to back her up and ultimately give her a get out of jail free card.
You know, and the funny thing is too, we got all this technology and AI and all this other great stuff. And, you know, it's surprising to me that I have friends and family that they don't track their children. There's no tracker on the phone. And not that everybody wants to be their own, you know, privacy. I understand all that. But I mean, there's certain people in your family and your community you should be checking up on. If I had a son that lived away from me or whatever, I'd be checking out, hey, how's everything going with, you know, relationship? You know, you talk about these things so that, hey, son, get out of this situation. I was in a relationship, my last wife, where it was becoming toxic because of, you know, her background and what was happening, and me being a real man, I'm going to stand on my laurels. And my mom had to come in, even though I didn't want my mom to come in, but you know, she had to tell this girl, look, my son is like this. You ain't going to manipulate and get your way. You know what I mean? We got to start having these conversations so that things like this don't add up even worse. You know what I mean? And in this guy's case, he's not coming back. That's it. It's a wrap.
Also, I want to say this as parents, and I was charged this to our generation, is that we have raised a generation of children who cannot and will not take advice. Yeah. They don't want nobody to say nothing to them. They get in their feelings when you try to give them advice. And, you know, it's just a lot. And so I charge that to our generation. We have raised a generation of children who can't hear, right? They are mentally deaf to where they do not want to take advice. Like when we was coming up, we didn't want to hear it either, but we were a little bit more able to hear for whatever reason. But we have just, you know, this generation of children, the millennials now, they know everything, try to say something to them. And so I say all that to say is, you know, I don't know what his situation was. Maybe somebody did try to say, hey, you need to leave the white girls alone.
Yeah, separate. You guys ain't getting along, right?
Yeah, don't tell me what to do. And, you know, I mean, I don't know if that was the case, but I would imagine it could have been the case. But we need to really start trying to get next to this generation and say, hey, excuse my French, y'all. Y'all know I don't ever really talk like this, but shut the fuck up sometimes. Yeah. Shut up and listen. Listen, because you don't know everything. I don't know everything, but I know more than you do because I've been here longer. So I got the wisdom and the knowledge to be able to impart something upon you that you can use, right? Because on the flip side of that, when you get in trouble, you get in the bind and something happened, and you're going to come and say, mama, daddy. Well, nah, mom and daddy tried to tell you. And as my daddy always used to say, let your knowledge take you where your knowledge is going to take you, since you know every damn thing. So we need to start getting a hold of them and saying, hey, do you want to grow or do you want to be stagnant? Because if you want to grow, sometimes you're going to have to hear stuff that you don't want to hear. But pick it apart and say, well, does it apply to me? Well, yeah, it does apply to me. Is it going to help me? Yeah, it's going to help me. Then listen.
Yeah, there's an old saying. There's a lot of, I'm an old fool, but there's a lot of dead young geniuses out there.
Yeah, because they know every damn thing. You can't say nothing to them. Yeah. It's like, Lord have mercy. So anyway, that's our time, y'all. But yeah, unfortunately for, you know, this Christopher, he is not going to be amongst the living anymore due to the hands of a Becky and all of that. But I mean, I just like, stop the nonsense, really. I think it would behoove us that we would start talking to each other more about how we as Black people need each other, because, you know, we are dwindling or staying stagnant in our population numbers, and that is all by design. And so eventually, the more we start talking to each other about accepting each other and, you know, changing, because we do need to change, right? The better off we'll be. Nobody's going to love you more or better or understand you more than your Black woman or your Black man. Just like the same thing is true for white people, Asian people, whoever. They understand each other more because that's just the way it is, right? So anyway, what say you before we get out of here?
Listen to the song, Just the Way It Is. Right. Run DMC, good, great album. But yeah, you're absolutely right. At the end of the day, no matter what you're hearing on all these platforms and stuff, please discern entertainment from reality? Is some of the things that they're saying true? Yes. It's like when you watch TV, the Andy Griffith Show, the Brady Bunch. There's always a message in the entertainment. Take what you need from that and throw away the garbage. Don't even consider the garbage. And always remember, we need each other at the end of the day. We do. And real quick, I did some research. 1973, do you know what the population of the Asian population in LA was?
Couldn't have been no more than 3%.
Less than 2%. Asian population in Los Angeles right now is 12%. Black population is 9%, I believe. So
maybe even 6.
Yeah, maybe even 6, right. So we're dwindling down. So we need each other more so than ever.
Absolutely. So let's get it together, Black people. So anyway, y'all, we are going to be out of here. We'll be back tomorrow, Sunday, live for our live show. What we'll talk about, I don't know, probably that of Ketanji Brown Jackson's nomination. Well, actually, she actually was confirmed. So we're going to talk about that, I think, unless something else comes up.
Clarita Jackson.
Clarita Jackson. Oh,
yeah.
God.
Clarence, Clarita. So we got to have them.
Lord have mercy. So anyway, y'all, we do have a Cash App, PayPal, or Venmo if you want to donate to this channel. And for what I understand, it is Black News Media Month or something like that. So I don't know.
He gave us that. Woohoo! Another.
Right, whatever that. Yes. I don't know if that's something nationally or just something amongst ourselves. But anyway, y'all, we'll see y'all tomorrow. You guys do have a nice, great rest of your weekend and do something fun. Peace.